This is Calvin Castan. It's approaching 10 a.m. on October 25th, 2001. This is the first presentation that the local VFW Post 1418 will be presenting on the history of the Korean War, which is in its 50th anniversary mode from 1950 to 53, year 2000 to 2003. And they're going to be going to 4 elementary schools in the Champlain, Mowers, Russell's Point area and making these presentations. We thought we'd catch the first one here at St. Mary's. Carl LaFontaine will be doing most of the talking, but there are several other VFW members here. There we see Don DeMars talking to Don Smith, John Henson, Don Miller with the green jacket on, Carl Smith in the center, and Irene Rabideau is seated. So we'll now sit down and take part in this.
Mrs. Froelich will say a few words.
First of all, I want to thank the veterans of wars who have given so much of their time and sacrificed so much for the freedom of all of us. And I know that the classes who are here have been studying that and have learned a great appreciation for it, but particularly that they are willing to come here and spend time and explain a little more to us about the celebration and the anniversary of the Korean War. I want to thank all of you very much for being willing and taking time to come here. It means a great deal to our children and to me personally, as my father also was a veteran of the Korean War. I would like to welcome Mr. LaFontaine and the men who are here to present, and I'm looking forward to seeing the program myself.
Thank you. At this time, I would like Natalie Jane Miller to come up, and she will lead us the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Natalie, could you come right up here, dear?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Natalie. We are the members of the Great Chazy River Memorial Post 1418, the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States. Participating in our program this morning are our post commander, Don Miller. Don, would you stand? John Hanson, Donald DeMars, and Don Smith. And to my right, we have a very special guest, Lorraine LaFellman. We will get back to Lorraine in a few minutes. I've noticed quite a few American flags out lately. I wonder if any of you boys and girls could tell me why we see so many flags and why we seem to have such patriotic fervor lately. Could anybody? Okay, why do we see so many flags lately? The girl in the pink sweater.
Because of what happened
Okay, what happened there?
when the plane crashes into the Twin Towers.
Wow, there was a couple planes that crashed in the Twin Towers. Did a plane crash somewhere else, I wonder? The girl with the glasses?
No, Pentagon.
Oh, a plane crash in the Pentagon. And there's one other serious thing that's going on lately. Could anyone tell me? The boy with the white t-shirt?
Also, a plane also crashed in Pennsylvania.
Oh, there you go, a plane crash in Pennsylvania. So all of this really provides a different world for us and things. I wonder how all of this makes us feel. Could anybody tell me how some tragedies make us feel? The girl right here?
It makes us feel bad for the people that died.
Wow, it makes us feel bad for the people that died. That's right. Any other feelings?
It might be sad for those who lost, like people in the Twin Towers.
Wow, the people that are remaining might feel bad too. Now, some of us do something about those feelings. Could anyone tell us what we do about some of those feelings? There you go, we could say a little prayer for them. Anything else?
We can, be more generous and everything to the people that died, like respect them, yeah.
Like money?
Yeah.
We might donate to the Red Cross to help some of the families. Anything else, dear?
We could treat others a little better.
Right. We might treat others a little better so that they might treat us a little better too. Very important to remember that even big folks get feelings. Even big folks around get feelings. And I noticed that our little village of Brazos Point sent an ambulance and some crew down to New York City to help. Well, we're certainly going through some different and challenging times between the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and even the anthrax incidents that some of us has heard have certainly got our attention. The peace cycle with the quiet, uneventful times will return. We always want to remember that sometimes when things are a little difficult, that better times are here. This is why we have tomorrows. Well, our program today is going to be about the Korean War, which took place 51 years ago. It's sometimes called the Forgotten War. And probably it's called forgotten because people have forgotten about it. Some people call it a police action, and probably rightly so. In back of me, we have the Korean flag. This part right here represents the earth. This line in the middle, separating it, shows a balance that there is in the earth. Over to my left, there is a map of the Korean War, of Korea. I'm not going to take the microphone, but I think I can speak loud enough for everyone to hear me. I wonder if anybody can tell me where north is on the map. Which direction is north on the map? Wow, north is up, east, south, and west. Korea is a country in Southeast Asia, and it's almost 600 miles long. Its width varies from 90 miles to 200 miles. the area is 85,000 square miles with some 5,600 miles of coastline. It's a peninsula, and its neighbors are three great powers: Russia, Japan, and China. Just the position of Korea makes it fair game between its neighbors. The land is generally very, very barren, has many craggy hills, and endless ridges. Korea is called the land of the morning calm, peace and tranquility. When World War II took place, now World War II took place from 1940 to 1945. At the end of the war, Korea was divided at the 38th parallel. Halfway up to the top at this 38th parallel, the powers that be decided that this would be communistic. And at the south, it would be democratic. On June 25th of 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea. The UN, does anybody know what the UN stands for? Anybody? Anybody? United what? Nations. Wow, the United Nations. Well, the United Nations passed a resolution after North Korea invaded South Korea. The resolution was, well, let's help South Korea. They're being invaded by the people from the north. The president then was President Truman, and he authorized use of the American forces, and they rushed from Okinawa and Japan to help the South Koreans. Our American forces had many, many problems when they got there. They lacked artillery, their units were under strength, they had little ammunition, and they were poorly trained. Soon, other United Nations troops arrived, and later, more troops arrived from the United States. Well, by the 29th of September of 1950, North Korean soldiers were pushed, by the 29th of September, North Korean soldiers were pushed back beyond the 38th parallel. The invasion of Incheon by sea hurried this. The Americans were headed toward the Yalu River in China. Let me show you on the map. The 38th parallel is right about here. This part communistic, this part democratic. The North Korean came down past the 38th parallel, and they had the South Koreans almost down to Busan in here. The Americans came from Japan and Okinawa and from the United States. And by trying very, very hard, they were able to push the North Koreans back, almost up to the Yalu River. Just on the other side of the Yalu River was China. On October 25th, a Republic of Korea unit captured a Chinese soldier. The Americans thought there were very few Chinese soldiers in North Korea. We thought that the Chinese were in China. Out of nowhere, believe me, out of nowhere, 100 to 300,000 highly trained Chinese soldiers attacked the United Nations forces. The American Army pulled back, and the 2nd Infantry Division, which I was assigned to, was given the task to delay the invaders so this could be done. The Chinese were able to surround many units of the 2nd Infantry Division, and at the Great Battle of Kruneri, the Chinese Communist forces virtually destroyed the United States 2nd Infantry Division. We lost 4,940 men in 2 days. It was necessary for the American forces to pull back the Seoul, and all that we had gained up to that time was lost. By January of 1951, after regrouping, an offensive by the United Nations forces pushed the enemy back across the 38th parallel. Many, many important battles were fought after that, and we will come to those battles a little later. The Korean War ended with a truce. Now, a truce is nothing more than an agreement. You stay on your side, we will stay on our side. Some of the results of this Korean War was that 38th parallel would remain as a boundary between the North and the South. Expansion by the communists would not be tolerated. The helicopter emerged as a technical advance in warfare. The American Army was enlarged. Integration took place in the Army. The Afro-Americans and the other soldiers could be together in the same companies, in the same units. Military Army surgical hospitals were formed. A famous remark made during the Korean War by the then General Omar Bradley was, it was the wrong war, at the wrong place, at the wrong time, and with the wrong enemy. This remark was not about Korea, but about enlarging the Korean War. Many, many men and women served, suffered, and died for South Korea. They died for South Korean freedom in a country they never knew and for a people they had never met. There were 33,629 Americans killed, 103,248 Americans wounded in action, 7,140 Americans who were prisoners of war. Over at my right, you will see a chair that commemorates these prisoners of war. This chair is a symbol to remind us of those people that never came back. South Korea sustained 1,312,000 casualties, including 415,000 dead. Casualties among other United Nations allies was almost 17,000. It's estimated, and this is just a guess, that the communist casualties were about 2 million. At this time, I will get away from the microphone. Or I might take the microphone. And here we can see, can everyone see this? Okay. Here we see some American airplanes, and And at the top it says, American power dominates the skies. If it wasn't for our great Air Force, many, many more Americans would have died. This poster is titled A Salute to the Women of the Korean War. We always associate wars with men, but in the Korean War, many, many men and women helped. We had Army nurses, we had the Red Cross, Assistant Secretary of Defense then was Anna Rosenberg. Our Secretary of Defense was a lady. So women play an important part in wars today. Defending the Front Lines is the title of the next poster. Here we see soldiers with the M1 rifle. We see tanks. We see, I'm sure this is a 155 artillery weapon. Supporting the front lines. We always want to remember that when we have an army out there fighting, that there's an army behind them supporting them. The soldiers have to eat, so it means we're going to have cooks or rations. We're going to have truck drivers. These people, our soldiers, have to be paid, so we're going to have people in finance companies to make payrolls to pay them. We're going to have people that put up telephones. We're going to have, like in the Navy, people repairing necessary pieces that may have broken down. Back then, we had to have teletype operators. So supporting the people in the front lines is a very, very important job. I was not a combat soldier. I was one of these people supporting those in the front. Man your battle stations. This is a Navy term. Now, our commander, Don Miller, was in the Navy off Korea during the Korean War. Is that right? Now here we have various types of boats. We have destroyers, cruisers. The Navy played a very, very important part in this war, as well as the United States Coast Guard. Prisoners of war. Here we see a picture of a North Korean or a Chinese soldier with American prisoners of war being marched toward the north. The immeasurable cost of freedom. We want to remember that when you have guns and you have war, that there are some people that are going to get hurt. Some people may lose a limb. Some people may be hurt psychologically. Here we see pictures of soldiers with bandages, all being helped. We see pictures of soldiers consoling each other. The elusive peace. It's been 51 years since the Korean War has been finished. Still we have a North Korea. We still have a South Korea. Just think of those people who have relatives on the other side. If you're a South Korean, you might have a grandmother or a grandfather that lives maybe 300 or 400 feet from you, but you can't visit them. Negotiations or talks are underway so that these people might visit each other. We have yet to see that. Lorraine LaFountain, that is sitting to my right, who happens to be blind, was my very, very first totally blind pupil. I used to be a teacher, and I used to teach boys and girls that were blind or saw very little. Now Lorraine attended school in Moores, and she was the very first totally blind pupil who ever attended a public school in this county. Lorraine is going to read with her fingers a poem written by Jim Kulos, Heavy Mortar Company, 23rd Infantry Division. The name of the poem is A Ghost Patrol. A patrol is a group of soldiers whose mission is to seek out the enemy. This poem tells about various activities soldiers had to face while in Korea. It reveals many of their attitudes and feelings. Now we will take 1 second while we get the microphone ready for Lorraine.
Gaunt and weary, bowed with grief, the Ghost Patrol moves on and on to face the terrors of the night in the land of the morning calm. With hollow eyes that stare ahead, with thoughts they have no words to tell, of nights that turned their youth to age in the land of the morning calm. In June they came in searing heat from life of ease in old Japan to face the hordes with stars of red in the land of the morning calm. Armor that could not be stopped, hails of lead and sheets of fire, death and dread on every aid in the land of the morning calm. With taste of ashes and defeat, the remnant struggles on its way and finds a river to defend in the land of the morning calm. With help from home and hope at last, they fight them there, the hordes from hell, and drive them back across the line in the land of the morning calm. Autumn passes, winter comes, and waves of foes in bitter cold turn hope to fear and gain to lose in the land of the morning calm. The soldier's lot is one more hill to take or hold or soak in blood, through dust and mud and rain and snow in the land of the morning calm. Still they face the hordes from hell, the menace just to cross the line, the soldier's vigil without end in the land of the morning calm.
Thank you, Lorraine. Donald DeMarsh will now read the poem, I Am Not Forgotten. This poem was written by Lieutenant Colonel Richard Kirk, United States Army. The author of this poem looks back at his wartime experiences in Korea, and he tells how these experiences affect him today.
I have walked these Korean hills before, crossed these rivers. I have passed through these fields, heavy with the odor of growth. My presence is here and elsewhere. In the pages of a letter, yellow with age, at the edge of a photograph, on a torn dance program. I am by love begotten. I am not forgotten. I am here in the heart of those who were here with me, on the perimeter at Incheon, at the reservoir, and the rivers. And in the hearts of those who waited, in their thoughts I walk again. And I wait at the curb in my car on a soft summer evening. The sound of crickets, of passing automobiles, and the muted songs of a city are near. I am a tear in the eyes of a mother, sisters, fathers, brothers, wives, friends, and lovers. I am by love begotten. I am not forgotten. I am black, white, Jewish, Gentile, red, yellow. I speak English, Hebrew, Korean, Chinese, Gaelic, German, Spanish. I am known in many countries and by many people. I have heard the rush of summer seas and the fist of thunder. I have known a distant star on a cold December night. And I have known the love of a friend who would die for me and I for him. I am by love begotten. I am never forgotten.
Lorraine will now read the poem Korea, the Forgotten War by Joseph McCallum, Company E, 27th Infantry Regiment, 25th Infantry Division. This poem is one of the most beautiful poems I have ever read. As Lorraine reads it, try to picture this to music. This poem is about a person who may have been looking in an old trunk, and he's found some souvenirs of a loved one who had been killed during the Korean War. We'll take 1 minute now.
A folded flag, a telegram, some letters tied with string, a purple heart, your photograph, a graduation ring. Souvenirs and memories are all that remain. You served with pride and honor, you didn't die in vain. Broken hearts and empty dreams, funeral cars and limousines. The honored guard, the echoed sounds of 3 successive rifle rounds. The sound of taps in the winter snow, vivid memories of a time so long ago. You were so young to go to war and die so far away. I often think of others too who lost their lives that way. The bugle shrieks in the charging hordes, the Yalu River, Chosen Reservoir, Pork Chop Hill and Heartbreak Ridge, prison camps and Freedom Bridge. Freedom's price is always high. Some are wounded, others die. Blinded eyes and shattered bones, hospitals and nursing homes. You rest in peace, there's no more pain, no bitter cold or monsoon rain, no heavy pack or bandoliers, no sleepless nights and lurking fears, no hand grenades or bayonets, no eerie shadows or silhouettes, no firefights, no night patrol, just silence now, God rest your soul.
Thank you, Lorraine, and thank you, Donald, for reading those poems. This last poem that Lorraine had read referred to the sound of taps, played in the winter snow. Donald Smith is going to read the story behind the song of taps, and he will also read the poem. Now, as an old school teacher, I can tell you right now that there is one word in this poem that you're not going to know, but maybe you might surprise me. Does anyone know what the word nigh means? N-I-G-H?
Not.
No. Okay, the word nigh in this poem means near. Donald?
This is the story behind taps. According to an unknown writer, taps is a song that gives us that lump in our throat and creates tears in our eyes. But do you know the story behind the song? If not, I think it will be delighted to find out about its humble beginning. It all began in 1862 during the Civil War, when the Union Army captain Robert Ellis Combe with his men near Harrison's Landing in Virginia. The Confederate Army was the other side of the narrow strip of land. During the night, Captain Ellis B. Combe heard the mourns of a soldier who lay mortally wounded on the field. Not knowing it was a Union or a Confederate soldier, the captain decided to risk his life and bring the stricken man back for medical attention. Climbing on his stomach through the gunfire, the captain reached the stricken soldier and began pulling him towards his encampment. When the captain reached his own lines, he discovered it was actually a Confederate soldier, but the soldier was dead. The captain lit a lantern and suddenly caught his breath and went numb with shock. In the dim light, he saw the face of a soldier. It was his own son. Boy had been studying music in the South when the war broke out. Without telling his father, he enlisted in the Confederate Army. The following morning, heartbroken, the father asked permission of his superiors to give his son a full military burial despite his enemy status. His request was partially granted. The captain asked if he could have a group of Army band members play a funeral dirge for his son at the funeral. The request was turned down since the soldier was a Confederate, but out of respect for the father, they did say they'd give him only one musician. The captain chose a bugler. He asked the bugler to play a series of musical notes he had found on a piece of paper in the pocket of the dead youth's uniform. This wish was granted. The haunting melody we know as taps was used at the military funerals was born. Day is done, gone the sun. From the lakes, from the hills, from the sky, all is well. Safely rest, God is nigh. Fading light dims the sight, and a star gems the sky. The gleaming bright from afar, drawing nigh. Full night falls the night. Thank and praise for our day. Near the sun, near the stars, near the sky, as we go, this we know, God is nigh. Now you know the story of taps. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. The last part of our program today is the final salute to a veteran. If the family of a deceased veteran desires a military funeral, our post will provide the military ritual. John Henson will tell us how this is done. John?
At a military funeral, the casket is draped with the American flag. At the gravesite, the body bearers rest the casket on the lowering device and remove the flag from the casket, holding over the grave waist high. The flag is held tight so it does not sag. 3 rifle volleys are fired, and then taps is played by a single bugler. The flag is folded, and the officer in charge presents the flag to the next of kin with these words. On behalf of the government of the United States of America, to the veterans of foreign wars, post 1418, I am honored to present you with this flag of our country, under which your son has so honorably and faithfully served. The officer in charge gives a hand salute.
At this time, we would like to present St. Mary's Academy with a few things. So if Mrs. Frolick would come up, Commander will make the presentation. The first presentation will be a certificate as a commemorative partner for the 50th anniversary of the Korean War.
It says, the United States of America, 50th anniversary of the Korean War Commemoration Committee designates St. Mary's Academy as a commemorative partner. This is awarded in recognition of your support of the 50th anniversary of the Korean War remembrances during the period 2000-2003. Having agreed to develop an ongoing program of events and activities which identify, recognize, and honor Korean War veterans, their families, especially those who've lost loved ones, and increase awareness of their contribution toward the peace and freedom enjoyed today in the Republic of Korea.
That is also signed by the Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld. So we're very happy to present you with that, and certainly glad. Secondly, for your school, we're presenting you this green flag. And next, there are different booklets here. I'll leave them here for you, and it's an awful lot of information about the Korean War. I'm sure it'll be a valuable teaching lesson. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
We will all stand and we will listen to the Star-Spangled Banner. This concludes our program for today. Thank you all.